Okay, my favorite second tool that I love so much is the Radial circle, which you find here. This tool is amazing because it's really fast and easy to use. So on this kind of photo, let's say, I remember how this photo was taken here. It was a lot more yellow, it was a lot more bright. So it's the same idea. You've got a whole bunch of settings here, and let's say you got a whole bunch of data, things happening. You can double click on effect. It's gonna put everything down to 0. And then I'm just gonna make a big circle, all right? Now let's say I'm gonna boost the exposure. Here is what's gonna, well, by default, I have it on invert, but I think what's gonna happen by default is that, you see I'm boosting the exposure everywhere but in the circle. Everywhere but in the circle. So you don't want that. By doing invert, you're boosting the exposure just where the circle is. Now, this is way too much. I just did it so you could see. Now, as usual, we've got the feathering. Check this out. No feather. Ooh, it's very subtle, isn't it? Okay, so no feather and then full feather. Ooh, it's a lot more invisible. So I always go on full feather because it just makes it less intense. And for example, on this, I want to, maybe just add a little bit of exposure and a little bit of yellow and a little bit of magenta and maybe a tad of saturation. That's going to bring back my sunset that was there. It's just going to bring it back. Check it out. Before that, after. And one little thing is you can see here, it's going a little bit over the city. Same thing then with the graded. You got 2 ways to correct that. The easiest way and the way that I usually use is the luminous mask. You just put this to the right and look what's going to happen. Now the sunset is on the sky, but not on the city. Check it out. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it even better. I'm going to zoom in, space bar to zoom in. You see how how it's all yellow here? Okay, now I'm going to move this to the right and check it out. Wait, and now it's gone. It's crazy. It's basically if like this circle is going behind the buildings and it's just one slider. I find, because this is what I used to be doing before they invented that slider, which I don't recommend. And that's to go here in this brush that we already covered, go to erase, and now you got an eraser brush and you can erase that gradient here. That's on the city here. Boom, it's gone. I mean, it doesn't take that long, but sometimes it's so much easier to use a luminosity mask. Now, one thing I want to talk about is, well, let's use multiple. So that's one circle. The whole purpose of that circle was just to bring back our sunset. Now, I want to complexify the light. Now, what I mean by complexifying the light is, you see how these buildings, except here, it's dark, 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 dark. It's getting a little bit brighter there. I want to make it a little more interesting. And one thing I learned very early on when I started doing photography is that an object which is partially LED is more interesting than an object which is fully LED. Okay? And in a way, when like buildings like this have the exact same luminosity, it's like if they were fully LED. Okay, now let me show you this. If I make a little circle here, because I love, these buildings were built in 1882 by Jean-Paul Haussmann. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I know it's Haussmann buildings, but I know they were built under Napoleon. They are so beautiful buildings. So what I do is I put a circle there, and I'm going to add some more texture, some clarity, and a tad of exposure, okay, on that building, on that circle. Now, here is what's going to happen. Here is what's going to happen. This is going to be dark. It's going to become a little brighter, and it's going to go back to its regular brightness. So that is just going to make it a little more interesting, okay? And because I like that circle, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to put it here. Okay. And so that's kind of crazy, and basically it's just really, really cool. So now check it out. If I go here and I look without the circles and with the circles, it's very subtle. Okay. I show it to you again. Without the circles, and with the circles, it's subtle, but it's more interesting. And you want to know when you've gone too far, I'll give you 2 tricks. Trick number 1 is when you're on the circle, well, the value here is very low. It's actually maybe a little low. I try to not go over 0.5. If you don't go over 0.5, you should be good to go. Okay, and this one's actually kind of low. Yeah, 0.25. I mean, if you go to 1, for example, it's going to be so visible. It's going to be like, oh, what happened there, you know? And that's the first trick on the 0.5. The second trick is, let's say now, you know, I'm going to be looking at other photos for a while and, you know, and some different things. So what I do is I look at other photos and then I go back to it. And if for a second, when I go back to it, I'm like, did I add the circle on this one or did I not? In other words, did I dodge this photo or did I not? Dodging means making it locally brighter. If you ask yourself that question, then you know you've not gone too far. Okay, it's just a little really cool trick. And one last thing I want to cover in this video is that you see here I've got little pins, okay? Now, these pins can be really annoying to appreciate whether you did a good job on a photo or not. But you see, as my mouse moves over on these sliders, all the pins are gone. And when I'm back, they're back. And I can select one circle. It's completely non-destructive. I can do whatever I want with it. It's really cool. Let me put it back to how it was. And I can go here and go on this pin and like, oh, this is too bright or not enough bright, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of like, you know, you can select a pin and do whatever you want with it. Now, by default, I don't remember what Lightroom comes in, but I think it's on always. Okay, show edit pin, always. Now, and here, show mask overlay. By showing mask overlay, this is how it's going to look. It's very annoying. Basically, you see all the pins. When you go out of your mouse, out of the screen, you still see the pin. It's hard to appreciate if the pins are there. Okay, so show selected mask overlay is that. So I'm not going to use that. But if you go to auto, what's going to happen? You can see here all the pins, and as I go out, the pins disappear. Okay, if I go on selected, only the selected pin will appear, which is all right. But what if you wanted to select the pin that was there? And if you go to never, well, never, no pins is selected. There's no way you can change anything. So what is the best of both worlds? It's auto. Auto is the best because I can select my pins. When I go out, it's there. So let me show you again without the pins. So I go back on the pins here and totally non-destructive. Sorry, I go back on the pins here. I go down here without the circle, with the circle. You see how I made the sunset a little stronger and I made the city a little more interesting? Isn't that cool?